Vectra Detect for AWS offers comprehensive detection coverage of your AWS control plane activity, and setting it up is really simple. In this video, I'll show you how in just 7 minutes you can set up Detect for AWS to cover every AWS account in your organization. In order to set up Detect for AWS, you'll need to have access to a Vectra SaaS account, which you can see here, and you'll also need to have sufficient permissions in AWS to grant Vectra access to monitor your CloudTrail logs. If you don't have these permissions, you'll need the help of an administrator in your organization. If we go ahead and log in here, you'll see that AWS CloudTrail is available for us to set up. You can see on the right hand side a few handy links which will show you in full detail what exactly we offer coverage against, as well as a compliance brief. We also offer an in-depth deployment guide which details all of the steps we go through in this video, as well as help with troubleshooting any issues you may have. Let's go ahead and get started. We can name this connection whatever we want. This is just used for your own internal reference. In my case, I'm going to name it example AWS connection very imaginatively. That's exactly what this is. And I'm going to click create and continue, which will show us the 3 steps we need to perform in order to get this connection up and running. The first thing we have to do is make sure we're logged into our AWS account. And I'm going to quickly use this chance to check my AWS account to verify which CloudTrail logs I'm looking to monitor with Detect for AWS and to validate it's all set up correctly. So I've already logged into my AWS account and I've navigated to the CloudTrail service. You can see here that we have one CloudTrail set up, the example CloudTrail. And if I click into this, I'm just going to quickly check some details around this CloudTrail. First off, we want to make sure that the trail is logging and is currently logging new activities. Secondly, we want to check and make sure that's a multi-region trail. This means that the CloudTrail is logging activity from every region within AWS, and it's not logging only from the active region that this is set up in. Thirdly, we want to make sure that this trail applied to the entire organization. In this case, this isn't enabled because this is an example CloudTrail. And if this isn't set up, then we are able to support this. It's described in more detail in our deployment guide. But in most cases, there is an organizational trail set up, and we would recommend using that. Finally, I would check quickly the log file SSE KMS encryption, whether this is enabled or not enabled. Vectra supports either, but you'll just need to take note of that for a later stage in the deployment. Step 2 is to grant Vectra access to your CloudTrail logs. Vectra has automated this task for you using a CloudFormation script, but it's also possible to create the roles manually or via Terraform if you'd prefer. When I expand the Create Roles using a CloudFormation script section, I need to select which region my CloudTrail is logging to. This is really simple to verify. We just go back to the CloudTrail page in AWS, click on Trail Log Location, and this will take us to the S3 bucket which contains our CloudTrail logs. And if I click on Properties, I can see AWS region there really clearly. So that's what we need to use. So if I navigate back and I click on the region and I select US East 1 as the region for this example, and I can just click through and run this CloudFormation script to connect your S3 bucket in US East 1. The CloudFormation script or stack you can see here will create the role and SNS topic that Vectra needs to monitor your AWS environment. You can name the stack whatever will be useful for your records, and then you just need to specify some parameters. The first parameter you need to specify is the CloudTrail S3 bucket name, which is where your CloudTrail logs are getting stored. In the previous step, when we checked the location of the S3 bucket, if we navigate back to this page, you can see highlighted here the actual name of the CloudTrail S3 bucket itself. So we can just copy that name and then we can paste it in. The next field is a unique identifier which increases the security of your communications with Vectra. The next 2 fields are 2 optional fields, KMS key and SNS topic for S3 events. If you noted in step 1 that your CloudTrail uses SSE KMS encryption, then you'll need to specify the KMS key here. And if you have another service already subscribed to your CloudTrail logs, then you may need to specify an SNS topic here. Both of these cases are described in more detail in our deployment guide, but they don't frequently come up. The next field is the Vectra account ID. This ensures that you only grant access to the Vectra cloud through this role, and the final role name is the role that you are going to grant Vectra access to. So you can rename this field to whatever you want for your own records. Once you've entered and validated these fields, click Create Stack. Now that I've clicked Create Stack, the CloudFormation script is going to go and create all of the required resources that Vectra needs in order to monitor your CloudTrail logs. After a few seconds, you can refresh the page, and you should see that the Vectra stack is completed with the creation. And then if we go back to our Vectra onboarding page, you'll see that we have step 3, find and copy paste the following fields from the IAM roles, which is specified in the Outputs tab of the CloudFormation script. So in here, you'll see in the Outputs tab 3 fields which are to be copied, and we're going to go ahead and copy paste them into the Vectra data sources page. Once I've entered the 3 fields here, I can just go ahead and click Authorize, and this is now done. The connection has been updated and authorization is in progress. This will set Vectra off, and in the background we'll just validate that we are able to access the logs that are being generated, and within a few short minutes you should start to see log flowing. Cool, Vectra has now validated everything is working perfectly, and the status is now set to logs flowing. You've now successfully set up Detect for AWS. It's as simple as that.